This is a clip from one of our most recent episodes. For full episodes and more, please check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Stitcher, and YourVibesPodcast.com. This episode is sponsored by Tia Armstrong with Property Place Solutions brokered by eXp. Tia is a local real estate agent who prides herself in being a value add in all her clients' real estate transactions. Whether it's an investment property or your next home, you can rely on Tia to help you with whatever you need. Check her out on her socials at Tia Armstrong or give her a call at 615-497-5336.
And I know it shed light on a really glaring need that is in our communities. And so I am going to go ahead and voluntarily walk right into talking about the need for access to quality internet. And several years ago, the governor at that time took a lot of steps. Bill Haslam took a lot of strides in bringing the attention to this need. But if you think about it, back in 1905, when Dickson Electric first started generating electricity from a steam-powered engine, and then creating electricity to then feed into the homes and businesses under the city of Dickson, we ultimately, with growth, had to work to build out the system, this new thing, this power, electric power to homes. And there are stories about, if your grandparents are still alive, you should ask them about, there are people who can still remember the first time that they saw lights in the nighttime, lit up from the grid being built out to serve those customers. So now if you think about that in relation to internet, what we have is a situation where rural areas and the least populous areas where people live much further apart, and it's further away from any industry or businesses or big cities. Those are the areas that have the hardest time with internet access. They don't have internet access. There are still many areas in Tennessee and in Middle Tennessee, and specifically in Dickson Electric service territory, that people have little to no access. There's, underserved areas: Van Leer, Cumberland Furnace, Charlotte, Burns. You had Corey Albert on the show. He lives off of South 48, I think. Mm-hmm. And he said he's a mile or not 3 miles out of town. Mm-hmm. And he has no internet. God love him, Matthew Hyatt, my preacher at Burns Church of Christ. He is a passionate advocate. He lives off of Rock Church. There's just so many different areas that don't have what was once considered to be a kind of a luxury, is now, without a doubt, after COVID, but even well before that, we recognize that it was an essential need. And we do see the day that we'll look back and say, remember when you didn't have access to internet? Because now, of course, the internet is what affects so many areas of life. The housing market, the job market, the ability to do your job, because of the fact that everybody or many companies have now turned to remote, the telehealth, the virtual healthcare, doctor's appointments, as COVID also shed a lot of light. And you saw a lot of doctors get real frustrated by how they had to incorporate technology, and then remote learning. And to me, that's the most urgent of all that, and the workforce being able to do their job, people being able to do their jobs. You can't do it if you don't have internet. And before there were literally going remote and learning from home, you had homework being sent home that needed internet access. And we've known that for a long time. We've known that there's an issue with there being underserved areas for a long time. And there were other utilities before Governor Haslam had worked on the legislation that other utilities, Clarksville Department of Electricity, CDE Lightband now, they do offer broadband internet, fiber to the home, as well as telephone and TV services.
How much does that cost? Do you know?
The cost per customer?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we can find it on their website. I know it's the most reasonable. Like, you're not dealing with, not to like throw Comcast and AT&T under the table, but I will say they bring out a side of me that I don't recognize, and that takes a lot. A lot.
So I canceled all of the only thing I've got at my house right now is internet.
Cut the cord.
I did, yeah. All I've got is internet. I've got Netflix and Amazon, and that's pretty much all we.
I can give you. Use. Look, I can hook you up with some Hulu. I can hook you up with HBO Max. And stuff? Yeah, Travis. He married up. So he married into money. So now we got some.
So we got access to all the streaming services.
But truly, you're right. The example that you just gave is what's happening across the board.
Well, and they told me right off the bat, they're like, all right, it'll be $98 a month for your internet. I'm like, cool. Comcast. Yeah. And they regularly charge me anywhere between $120 and $130. Yeah. And I've spent
it's crazy.
2 months in a row.
And that's for internet only, everybody.
And I spent 2 months in a row on the on hold for about an hour to an hour and a half to try to figure my bill out.
Talk to a human.
And it got to the point to where I just said, screw it. And I just pay $120 a month because that's my only choice right now.
I mean, and that is the problem is you have a system in place where there's little to no competition, little to no regulatory thing. And don't ask me like detailed questions about well,
you can't talk
what
to
the
human
future
there.
of that is, but ultimately if a local power company, so what's now becoming overwhelmingly the majority of local power companies is the term that we use within the Tennessee Valley, but it's any kind of electric power providers, so cooperative and municipal electric systems in our area. So we have Dickson Electric, obviously Meriwether Lewis, there's Cumberland Electric, there's Middle Tennessee Electric, which serves a lot of Williamson County, Davidson County, and a lot of the Lebanon, I don't know where else, but Nashville Electric, and just like KUB, Knoxville Utility Boards, they are going into providing broadband. And broadband is a term for just a super, super high quality of internet that is very, very reliable. Because if you think about it, it's literally a broadband, and for the listeners, I'm like doing like motions with my hands, but it's a bunch of tiny, tiny fibers inside of a very a larger fiber or band. And so all of those tiny fibers are literally that's through which the internet is transmitted into your home. So it's built in. It's not like towers that you have to hope that it's a sunny day, and that there's not a lot of, whatever effects.
Sure, wind and snow.
And elements and UFOs or whatever it is that get in the way of that. It's highly reliable and faster than anything you could, a lot faster than anybody, a regular residential customer would ever really need, regardless of if you're working from home or if your child is having to remote learn and somebody's streaming, it's everything. And because it's being provided by public power providers, which the term public power means we are connected to community, as the easiest term that I try to connect it to. Connect it, get it?
But hold on, wait, listen, watch. I've got this ready.
I couldn't hear it.
Oh, you don't have headphones in.
But your eyes did light up. I feel like it was great. And I can't wait. It'll be like a little.
So I've got little pre-recorded.
Is there ha ha ha?
There's a laugh. Yeah, hold on. You ready? Oh, that's applause. Hold on. Here's another one.
I'll take that.
That's a laugh right there.
Aw,
All right, got
you
it.
could have been pushing that this whole time.
I could,
I
yeah.
have been hilarious.
Do you
and
want the
there have
headphones so
been
you
no
can hear
fake
them?
laughs like built in. Yeah, don't give me the power behind that. I'll be like using it like I use emojis to like.
That's the first time I've ever pushed those buttons.
Oh
by
my
the way.
gosh, I am
so,
honored.
You should be.
You picked the right time. Good job. So the concept of a really fast and reliable internet, it being provided by something that is like quasi, like, government adjacent, as far as we serve ratepayers. We're connected to the city of Dickson, which is interesting because as a municipal electric system, we were the city of Dickson Electric Department legally, like on the papers when we signed with the the TVA Act in 1936. That's what we were titled. But like I think the majority of our customers are outside of the city of Dickson. So like that's a unique kind of relationship. And certainly the majority of customers who are hurting desperately for access to quality internet are outside of the city of Dickson. Yet we do have that relationship with the city that is very important, because this is a project. We are in the middle of one of the many, many, many steps that it is required in order to go into providing broadband to all Dickson Electric customers. And in doing that, because of the fact that we're doing it, I would love to have done it 10 years ago, especially like 6 years ago, after I heard the first like presentation that I heard that was at an industry event. And I came back and I was hyped. I was like, Daryl, we have to go into broadband. Like, let's do it. Let's do it right now. And this is like, he was like, okay, first of all, calm down. Like, you get excited, and I do, but I just could see the like difference that it would make for the communities. And also, that is the future, you guys. Like
100%.
The internet is not going anywhere. And I've been an avid listener on your show. I know you and Corey Albert talked about it in episode 1. You and Todd Murphy revisited it. It's something that comes up along the way in a lot of different areas when you talk about growth and the development and the future.
Well, it's because
so many aspects.
Well, the future is tech. I mentioned this on other shows as well too, is that every single company, whether it be Reading Rock Books or Boardable or Dickson Insurance or the hospital or a bank, every single company is a tech company. Yeah. Period. Absolutely.
If you're not, then you're dying.
You're
Blockbuster.
Exactly. Unless you're part of even a basket weaving company has to have a tech feel to it in order to get their word out. To have a presence. Exactly right. There's no real grassroots.
It's critical to your success.
Absolutely. And our proximity to Nashville and Oracle coming to Nashville and all of these major, Amazon having a massive presence here, Facebook having a hub here now. Like there is such
Nissan I mean, there's tons of industries that are moving to Tennessee, and Tennessee has done a great job to market and incentivize industries to move to our great and wonderful state. And with that does come its challenges. However, ultimately, we're a very appealing place to be, especially in proximity to Nashville, like you've said. But if you are going to be an industry that's looking to locate somewhere, example, Dow Tile, when they were looking, you are also having to consider more than just like how long does it take to get to the closest airport, or like how many grocery store. No, you are needing to consider the type of workforce, the quality of workforce that you will require in order for your business to do what it needs to do. And in the tech world, the quality is a very specific, and in any industry, you want the best of the best. And if what you're facing with having so many areas without access to internet, there are dying communities in Tennessee. I've heard stories about places that are just located in the areas where the youth grow up, they graduate, they leave, and they never come back because there's not anything there. And something like broadband can be a game changer and has been. There's going to be success stories that come for years from now about communities that come back to life because of that very thing, which then enables so many other areas. You had Todd Murphy talking about what it can do for his business. It can everyone's business, it being something provided by a public utility. We're not going to be doing it to make all the money.
Sure.
And yes, we'll have to be like smart, and we'll have to like hit benchmark like things, especially during the implementation deployment of the project and the initial. I mean, it's a huge investment, like upwards of almost $90 million. That's the largest by far that Dickson Electric has ever invested in anything.
But you're playing the long game on that one.
But yes,
yeah.
Ultimately, you're going to be bringing about change, positive change in so many areas. And we already do have a fiber network in place. We have fiber that runs from our office on Cowan Road in Dickson to all 8 of our substations through our system. And that provides us a communication system. It's called the SCADA system. That also enables our automated metering system, which we put in, I think it was 2010, which provided us the opportunity to be able to read our meters from our office instead of having to roll trucks and have meter readers out in the field. That was a huge cost savings and also a safety consideration.
Because didn't they used to drive by with radar guns?
And the
or
gas
something?
and water department, they still, I think, at least they were all still doing it, like driving we serve almost 37,000 customers. And if you can imagine what it would take to get somebody around to every one of those houses, it was just a huge undertaking. In things like the elements or, holidays or things would come into play where you'd have to estimate the ultimate final reading. And it just created a lot of discrepancies. I mean, it was correct stuff. It was just a lot of work.
Sure.
So it streamlined our business operations and processes in a huge way. We also, a lot of people don't know, we partnered with Education Network of America and the Dickson County School, actually all of the school systems on our service territory. And we provide, through a partnership with ENA, we provide fiber broadband to all of the schools and public libraries along our system.
Oh, wow.
So they have access to quality, reliable, internet. And so if you think about it, we have the interstate system in place. And what needs to happen is we need to build off the off ramps. Is that what they're called? Mm-hmm. The highways, the side roads, the back roads, the driveways, all of the things. And that is that's a huge investment. And it's not something that happens quickly. Obviously, we have a lot of people who have been anxious to see this happen for a long time. And I think that their mindset is that once the board gave the go, okay, let's roll this out, let's go. And while yes, the board has approved to move forward with this very significant project, there are still very important steps that need to be taken to protect the ratepayers, to protect the electric department and its customers. It's a whole other a whole other subsidiary of Dickson Electric to be, it's a broadband division. It'll be a separate books, there's a lot of different ways we can go about it as far as staffing or, tech support, all of those things. And those are decisions that are being discussed and will be made. But ultimately, it's not something that happens overnight. It is a process. Sure. And the phase, we're going to do it in phases.
Thanks again to Tia Armstrong with Property Place Solutions, brokered by eXp, for sponsoring this episode. be sure to reach out to her on her socials at Tia Armstrong or give her a call at 615-497-5336. If you're interested in sponsoring an episode, please reach out to me directly via email at yourvibespodcast@gmail.com. Thanks again for listening, and always remember, stay vibey, my friends.